It is November 7th and it is day 12 of 30 days of thanks. Today's thanksworthy thing is, are you ready for this? Coincidences, which may be signs, which may be miracles. Okay, and we're going to whip out the double bunny ears here out of the double holster and say they're coincidences. So what am I talking about here? Okay, these are the type of things that occur miraculously, coincidentally, but in my experience, in my family's experience, they're not usually of earth-shaking significance. They're the type of thing that seems more like, just a post-it note left from a friend or, a spouse or a parent to a child after they leave in the morning and they're going off to work, just to say, hey, hope you have a great day or whatever. So what types of things are we talking about here? Well, yesterday, two of them occurred, and you may think that I'm crazy, and that could be true, but yesterday's coincidences had to do with Charles Martel and Bobby Knight. Okay, so what happened? Well, first of all, Bobby Knight was on my mind during the day because I was thinking about somebody we know and I've had experience with, and who was very much like Bobby Knight in more than one respect. And so the character very much fit, and so was on my mind, and even to the point where I was thinking of his name and picturing his face and his character and whatnot. And then lo and behold, I started watching Parks and Recreation, which I've heard people recommend and I hadn't yet seen, and so I watched the pilot episode, and at the very end of the pilot episode is a very plain reference to Bobby Knight. In fact, the Ron Swanson character points at the wall, and there's a poster of Bobby Knight on the wall, and he says Bobby Knight at the very end, and that's the end. So that was one. The other was a reference to Charles Martel. Charles Martel was, he was, some history buffs might know better, but he was one of the ancestors of Charlemagne and his son Pepin the Short, and he's the leader that turned back the Turks, or who have you, at was it the Battle of Tours? I'm not sure, but he supposedly saved Europe, legendarily so, and so made reference to that. I saw some post online about him, and so shared that post from War History, I think was the page I was following. And then lo and behold, this morning, in fact, traveling through the kitchen, there was my son's history assignment for the week, and it was all about Charles Martel and Charlemagne and Pepin the Short. So these types of things happen with somewhat regularity. You might ask, okay, are you crazy? Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's pretty amazing that these things happen. What do they mean? Are they ESP? I don't think that's an ESP type of situation. ESP means you have a sense of something. These are two things that seem to be happening on their own. You can make an argument for that, but the nature of them in general is not such that it's ESP. Is it the type of thing where you say, okay, you look at a certain type of car, and then all of a sudden you start seeing those cars everywhere on the road, and that's because you have a heightened awareness of them? No, it's not really that type of situation, because these things are coming independently from two different situations. Is it telepathy? I don't know. I tend to look at this as, coming from an outside influence, that these are put in our path so that we can see the coincidences and surmise that there is an acting conscience presence who not only is there but can also manipulate these types of things, which is amazing, and would be aware of you. And they're not necessarily of earth-shattering significance in the message they might portray, except to say, hey, you know, here's a sign for you, here's a little memo, here's a little, you know, elbow to the ribs from a buddy type of thing. I don't know, make of it what you will, but that's what it is, and they happen fairly regularly. Some more miraculous than that, and some a little bit scary. We won't get into that now. Suffice to say that they happen, and we're thankful. Not sure what it means, but it is what it is, and we won't doubt it, even though we tend to doubt ourselves when we think about it. Do we dare to hope? Do we dare to believe? Could it be? Who is it? Is it someone?